Welcome back to Exhibit A-List. I'm your host, Jasmine Weg, and this is where pop culture gets cross-examined. Today's episode is a continuation of a conversation that started after my Love is Blind contracts videos were going viral. And since then, I've heard from multiple people who've participated in reality television and had questions, concerns, or experiences that they hadn't fully anticipated. My guest today is Brandon Reid, who appeared on Married at First Sight. His season was unique because it involved a real legal marriage and ultimately an annulment while the show was still airing. This conversation isn't about relitigating anyone's case or assigning blame. It's just about understanding the real legal, emotional, and contractual realities behind so called reality TV from the perspective of someone who has actually lived it. And before we begin, I just want to note that this conversation reflects Brandon's personal experiences and opinions, and nothing discussed here is to be taken as legal advice. And any reference to contracts or production practices are just general in nature. Welcome, Brandon. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on. You reached out to me a couple of years ago because I was talking about Kinetic and you had some experience with them. But let's just go back. You were on Married at First Sight. What initially motivated you to participate in the show and how did you get on it?
I kind of randomly got an email from a casting agent. I grew up watching The Real World and I
Oh,
wanted
me
to be on The
too.
Real World years ago. And so I believe applied for when they came to Washington, D.C., never heard anything from anybody. And then randomly I get an email from a casting agent who they just kind of passed your information along and reached out, had a conversation with the casting agent. And I was told from day one, hey, we want you on this show. And just like everybody else, didn't really believe it and kind of went through the process. And yeah,
How much did you know about the structure of the show before you actually started filming?
I didn't know anything about the show. The casting agent, the first initial call that I had with her, she informed me that this isn't going to be an experience like Love and Hip Hop or something crazy and scandalous. That was her exact words. And she challenged me to go watch a season or two, but I'm kind of always a busy person. So I actually had a buddy of mine just go watch a few episodes and I probably should have watched it.
Oh, so he just watched it for you and just said what he thought about it?
And he was like, oh man,
Man.
you'll have a great time. Do it.
Oh, you could
And
have ChatGPT'd it if you had it then, like, tell me everything I need to know about this show in 2 seconds. But was that something you were worried about, that it would be like one of those reality shows where there was a lot of drama? Were you concerned about that before you did it?
yes, because I'm not the type of person that likes to get into drama. I know it comes across as I do on the TV show, but no, I'm a very low key person. I don't deal with a lot of superficial people, and if I'm around superficial people, I just remove myself once I know what I'm dealing with. So it was very important. I also have a career, and I didn't want to jeopardize my career, and I'm pretty connected in Washington D.C., so I wanted to make sure that I just didn't make myself look bad, and it
What do you
happened.
do, by the way?
So I work in the alcohol industry. I actually live in California now. So I moved out to California during the pandemic, shortly after, like, I guess my season aired. I've been in alcohol since 2018, just managing programs.
And so you get on this show, you don't know that much about it. What was day-to-day filming like?
So initially, kind of just to back up, like when I initially decided to do this, life was going great. I've been in great relationships in the past. I've never been in a toxic relationship. So when this opportunity fell in my lap, life was great. The career was going good. So I really thought the big man was throwing me an alley oop. He was like, hey, man, I'm going to bless you. Find the
Mm.
woman of your dreams. So I decided to do this and I quickly found out that this was a reality show. So I pivoted after probably like the first initial filming, which was, I think they brought us through like casting where you had to come in and you talk to the experts. That was day one. And after day one, I was like, all right, I'm not going to find Mrs. Right here, but maybe I can find a lifelong partner or a lifelong friend that I can say I shared this amazing experience with. I also see
Why'd you initially realize you wouldn't find a lifelong partner?
just how it was handled. They treated us nicely in the beginning, calling us by our names. But I would say by like day three, things shifted. We started
Mm.
being referred to as talent or the subject. So
Mm.
once that title was attached to me, the way I was treated was quite different than my initial treatment.
So you felt like you were getting a vibe that it was just more of a show. So
Oh, yeah.
your head is less in this space that this is a real way to find a
Yeah.
future partner for the rest of your life.
'Cause everything's weird superficial, like, I'm a deep guy. I don't let a lot of people into my life. I'm very selective with who comes in, and so I do have high standards when it comes to, like, the type of women that I date, and, the questions that were asked are superficial questions, like, "What type of body do you want?" This is or, "Do you want a girl with long hair?" Stuff that I don't care about. I'm a sapiosexual by nature. I love really, really intelligent women.
And you felt like it was more of a superficial process.
Oh, it was a superficial process from start to finish.
And were you mostly matched based on looks, like whatever preferences you expressed to them?
Well, after going through the process, I realized they asked what I don't like, and they pretty much bottled that up and gave it to me.
Ooh, that's not good. That makes for awkward, isn't it?
It was super awkward. So I told them I don't like superficial women. I love just down to earth, real laid back, chill, fun, someone who can just put themselves together. I could take her to a fancy black tie affair, or we can go rock climbing right over the Potomac. Those are the type of ladies I like. Just really, really cool, down to earth, super smart women. And the questions they were asking me, I instantly knew I'm not going to find this person.
Well, I think that a lot of people go on reality TV shows to become an influencer because it's an easy pathway. And like you're saying, a lot of times you realize when you're early on, even when you're doing the show, that it might not really lead to a long-term relationship, but it definitely could lead to exposure. And so it's not necessarily the person who enters the show's fault for wanting that or trying to get that, because really production allows that to happen in the
Oh,
sense that they'll cast people who are probably looking for other things than love, right? I think that they'll cast someone looking for a platform or trying to build up their social media, even though they say they want someone maybe looking for long-term marriage.
for sure, for sure. I got that impression right away. It's just not who I am. Yeah. It was kind of challenging. I knew what I was going to be dealing with right away. So once I was super naive back then. I thought, all right, well, I'm not gonna find Mrs. Right, but maybe I can win this person over and we're just gonna be buddies. But that wasn't the case. She came in with an agenda and she stuck to that agenda.
And what was it like being filmed all the time?
I had no problem with it. I've been in sales my entire life. I'm a very social person. I have networked and I've touched a lot of different people throughout my travels. I've even been to the White House multiple times.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I've worked with embassies, you name it, rappers. I'm everywhere. When I say I'm tapped into Washington, D.C., I am D.C. essentially.
So you were comfortable on camera and the constant presence wasn't anything like kind of making you act differently because there was like a camera crew around or anything like that?
No, it sucks because I had a lot of funny moments that were recorded that never made the air because I found
Mm.
out that I was essentially playing a version of myself that some other gentleman in Hollywood decided to create.
So you feel like the editing really plays a huge factor in how you'll come out because they're going to choose which parts they're going to air. Is that fair to say?
Oh, 100%. They coast you into saying what they want you to say. And when you don't do that, then they threaten you. They essentially tell you, oh, you're going to have a bad edit. You're going to look bad. And I'm the type of person, I'm very grounded. I know who I am. I've known who I was since I came out the womb. So, I don't care about other people's opinions of me. So I was really there focused on meeting an amazing woman. And yeah.
What kind of things were you coached to say, if you remember?
We would do these sessions where we would have a confessional and they would be 3 hours long, where we would have to talk about a scene, what happened in that scene. And they would ask you a question 4 or 5 different ways to try to catch
Mhm.
you up. And then, of course, I have history with people trying to catch me up, and I'm really kind of hard to catch up. So when they couldn't catch me up in the confessionals, they just re edited everything.
Well, that's actually like a technique we use when we're doing depositions as lawyers because if we're trying to get an answer, sometimes we'll ask the question again later just to see if they remember what they said or if they give it slightly different and then kind of reframe it. But usually you can't do it too much because then the other side will be like, "No, ask an answer." But that's very tricky to navigate when you feel like you're being pushed to answer a certain way. And I'm sure there's some kind of part of you that wants to make them happy because it's a symbiotic relationship and you're trying to do a show together. Is there compensation for the show?
Yes, we were compensated. We were paid in basically 4 installments. I sent them a letter because I didn't like how they were treating me. I was excluded from the reunion show. Yeah.
So, what were like rules that you were under while you were filming and then afterward? Were there specific rules from production that you had to follow or do that really made you feel uncomfortable or were just part of the show?
Oh, I was uncomfortable from start to finish. I mean, the wedding day just set the tone. It was a horrible experience. I was hungry from the moment I stepped on set, and I think I started at like 6 o'clock in the morning. And I kept
Mm.
asking, "Can you give me food? Can you give me food?" And no, and I'm a very picky eater too. So, like I said, they started treating us terribly at this point. They're trying to bring me like
When was it just you that were getting treated that way or other
oh,
people
no, the entire
experienced?
staff, they treat everybody like this. It's just the way they do things, and I knew at that point during the wedding that I was the focal point of the show, because again, I'm pretty tapped in.
So, and then you had an annulment right away. What was that process like? Like, what made you go right away to get the annulment? Mm.
Yeah, but from the first experience, that wedding date, I was already talking to lawyers. I had a contract lawyer I was talking to. I started calling, trying to just figure out how I can wiggle out of this, and production intentionally writes those contracts to make it layered, to make you feel like you're stuck, so it's written in New York substantive law, and then it's like California law as well, and, to the average person, the average Joe like me, no one understands any of that stuff.
And then I'm sure you're consulting with DC lawyers because that's where you live. But the law that it's interpreted under, you're saying was New York and California.
New York
So
and
that is
California.
another layer.
I was talking to multiple attorneys. I mean, I even was going down to the courthouse. I was going down to the law library, just going in every day, just studying, reading how I could free myself. And yeah, I wasn't able to free myself. Well, now I know I could have freed myself easily by walking off the show. That was the best thing I could have possibly done. But I fought it because I was fighting for my character. I was fighting for my reputation, and I will always fight for that.
Yeah.
We filmed for 2.5 months.
Mhm.
So we got married day one, and then we shot 2 other scenes for 3 days, and then we went straight to Panama for the honeymoon. So there was something always going. I was super busy. Plus, I was working at the same time. So I'm working my full-time job and then also going to work for hours. I mean, we would work for sometimes 10 hours. We were working till 3 o'clock in the morning, and I have to wake up and go back to
When you
work.
say work, you mean like doing the show? Because it
Doing
felt
the
like work for you?
It was work. I mean, I knew from Jumpstart it was work.
Mm.
So when that young lady came down the aisle, I'd actually known about Taylor Dunklin ahead of time. So I knew I was in for a crazy ride. To be honest with you, everything my experience is way wilder than what you saw on the show.
What are some things that you feel like you wish could have been shown on the show that didn't make it on?
I feel like people didn't get to know the real Brandon Reid.
Mm.
Everybody thinks that I'm this train wreck. They think I'm just this guy that rolls barrels of beer into bars, which I'm not. I'm
Mhm.
a very complex guy. I've done a lot. I've accomplished a lot in my life. I've worked for the Army as a contractor. I've made a DVD for the Army when I was 21. It's crazy. 2 years just on the road with them making
Wow.
DVD. I've worked in the alcohol industry. I've worked in the tech space. You name it, I've done it. So I've had a very colorful life, which is one of the reasons why I decided to do the show because I don't take myself too serious. Very humble guy. I just love to have fun. And when I pivoted to this is a job, it was all right. Well, let me make this beneficial for the city of DC. I'm gonna show I'm gonna show America why DC is a very special place. I'm also going to show the ladies who I am, just in case. Once I'm out of this mess, I'm gonna be looking to get married. I mean, at the end of the day, I want to settle down. I do believe there's a Mrs. Right out there for me. Um, yeah, none of that got to come across, and it was sad. Like, I actually put in a lot of effort. I involved my family. I went out and I bought Miss Dunklin. I bought her jewelry. I've never bought a woman jewelry in my life before.
Oh.
Went down to Tiffany's, got her a Mrs. Reid locket, and she just took that and just trashed it. So to go through that experience knowing that this person is working against me was is tough.
Do
It's
you
tough.
think that this kind of that concept of married at first sight could work, but it just was wrong for the 2 of you? Do you still feel like this is something that could work for someone?
Well, I mean, it has worked for others. You know, the ones that were smart were the ones that understood the mission, which I kept trying to convey to Miss Dunkley. I was like, look, yo, the only way you make it to season 2 is with me. I got a house. You live with your mama. You know, so hey, in order for this to work, you can't really disrespect me. And as a black man, I understand going on national TV. I would never disrespect a woman, nor would I disrespect a black woman. It's just there's no winning there. I grew up with all women. You know, I
Mm.
in a household, my mother, my grandmother, and her 2 sisters, you know, so I love women. I've never put my hands on a woman. I've never been accused. There's not a woman on this earth that would tell you that she's afraid of Brandon Reid. And so to be put in a situation where I'm in a toxic relationship where someone's putting their hands on me and I'm also being accused of doing those things was scary. It was super scary. It's actually being on the show has made me change who I am. It's made me change my habits. I can't have certain people around me. I can't go into spaces that I was able to go into before, you know, because people like to challenge me and they truly believe that I'm this train wreck when I'm not. So I've been assaulted. I've been doxxed. I have.
Feel like being on the show is still following you to this day?
It definitely is. It's ruined relationships. It's embarrassed my family. I've lost a lot of friends. But on the flip side, I do believe I lost a lot of people that needed to go. You
Mm,
know, I
yeah,
learned
it
from
always works like that.
so folks ask me all the time, "Do you regret doing this?" And I don't think I don't have regrets. I learned a lot about myself. I took on my employer who has a lot of money and I fought them and I basically got my money and I did what I needed to do. I protected myself from this young lady.
But especially when there's editing involved that you can't control, and no matter what the truth is, there's a certain level of creation that occurs with editing that you are completely out of control on, and then I guess you're watching it back, and it must be jarring to see the version that's being shown on TV versus the version that you actually lived, your lived experience.
Well, when I see what is on TV, I see a man that is struggling, a man that is trying to protect himself against his employer and the woman that he's supposed to be married to. It was scary. It was dangerous. I mean, she spent a lot of time calling me names, tearing me down. The production was doing the same. And like I said, once I got married and that switch flipped, anytime I felt like they were going to disrespect me, I mean, you see me walking out of a lot of rooms calmly because I knew what the deal was. I knew it was just a constant, I got you, I got you. And I'm like, no, you're not getting me. I'm just gonna walk out this room. Like, whatever. But yeah, it was a tough situation. They thought they were getting me and I was always getting them as well. So because they couldn't get me to be the angry black man on TV,
So it sounds like you have to kind of take matters into your own hands during production and filming, or else you're more at the whim of what they create from the show through editing or which side they take. Incredible what you can do with the way you can frame things through editing.
for sure.
Is there anything positive that you took away from the experience?
I learned a lot about myself. I fought for my, reputation. I learned that I will defend myself. I learned
Yeah.
I'm fearless. I learned that I am a decent guy. You know, I'm a great guy. I'm a great catch. I didn't lose myself in all of this. There are a lot of people who have unfortunately got into this and they've lost themselves. I mean, it's tragic. You know, a lot of folks they wanna be this influencer. They think that things are
Mm,
gonna take off and it doesn't go anywhere. You know, I think we see it even now during the pandemic back then and now, you're seeing influencers just take their lives,
mm.
overdose, and they're really losing themselves in the addiction of being a celebrity. And it's not all that's cracked up. It's really a game that's designed for you to lose. There's no winning in this,
Yeah, and the public opinion shifts every second. So it's 1 minute you're in their favor, and then the next they've moved on or they found something they didn't like about you. Now they're channeling all of their disgust toward you. You see that a lot on TikTok and Instagram, where someone does something that someone doesn't like, and then it's just a pile on, and that's I'm sure very challenging
for
when you're
sure.
in the public eye. What advice, though, would you give someone, let's say they are going to go on this kind of reality show, not necessarily this one, but like a reality show about finding love and they want to do it. What kind of advice would you give someone?
Don't do it. Don't do it. It's not
I
worth
thought
it.
you'd say that.
It's not worth it. This has really impacted my life in ways that I never thought it would be. I never thought I would have kids in China, telling me they hope I catch COVID and
Oh my
hoping I
gosh.
die. I had folks posting my drug record. I had folks, doxing me, showing up to my house. I've been assaulted multiple times. It's completely ruined my dating life. My dating life has been garbage. People think I'm a train wreck, and I'm not a train wreck. And I find myself in situations where I have to walk away and it sucks. It's impacted my work. I've had coworkers file bogus complaints against me because they wanted to take down the guy from season 10 because his girlfriend didn't like me. I've had a lot of folks reach out to me. The positive from it is I've had folks reach out to me to dox me or to try to get up under my skin, but that's also opened up the conversation for them. Because I did have an agenda once I realized I wasn't going to get married. I went on and I spoke about mental health. I had a coworker back in the day who committed suicide. He suffered from
Mm,
really bad panic attacks.
I'm
I
sorry.
discussed those issues on the show. I've never had a panic attack in my life, but I discussed those, thinking that, if I could just touch someone, let them know that, hey, you're not alone.
Bring awareness.
Ways out of this, then I've done my job. But the show unfortunately used that against me to paint this bad narrative that just isn't me, and the abusive stuff. I've never been one to abuse anybody, and I wouldn't. I would never put my hands on a woman. And to be painted out in this negative energy, it sucks because you don't get to know me. There were a lot of great laughs. That production was laughing from start to finish. I'm hilarious. And yet you don't get to see any of that, and that's unfortunate. So if you love who you are, you love your family, you love your privacy, don't do this. It's not worth it.
Any friends that you kept from doing the show?
I've talked to a few folks. I think the I actually Luke from season 6, he was huge. He got me through the last part of filming. He was super cool. He was painted out to be a villain as well, so he kinda gave me the rundown on, what life will be like afterwards. So and I've talked to, like, maybe 1 or 2 folks. I've also had some people because production were gonna make an example out of me, and so some of the cast members for, like, the new seasons, they would reach out to me. They were like, "Hey, can you help me? I'm in this bind," and I will always help anyone that comes along the way.
That's
So
great that you've channeled your bad experiences into finding ways to help others and just spread more information for someone who might be in a similar position as you. Thank you so much for talking about your experience. And I'm sorry it wasn't a positive one, but it does sound like there were things that you learned about yourself and were able to take away that were uh, an area of growth for you and positive for you, and it sounds like you're not allowing all of the negativity to get to you, and I think that's the best you can do in that situation.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I said, I don't regret the experience. I am still looking for Mrs. Right though. So ladies, I'm not who you think I am. You see me in the street, I'll throw a drink in my face. Just come down to chat with me.
Good luck finding Mrs. Right. I know it's probably not gonna be on a reality TV show, but it'll be the old-fashioned way, and I do hope you find her and have best of luck going forward.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Thanks for coming. Before we wrap up, I want to zoom out for a moment. This episode isn't about one person or one production. It's about the structure of reality television. It's about when real contracts, real marriages, and real reputations are involved. Brandon shared his experience as someone who participated in a legally binding reality TV experiment. And whether or not you agree with every detail, the broader takeaway is clear. Once filming begins, participants often lose control over how the story is told, and that can have lasting consequences. If you're considering participating in a reality show, especially one that involves legal commitments, the most important thing you can do is understand the contract and the power dynamics before you sign. Thank you for listening. If you found this episode helpful, please make sure to follow the show, leave a review, and share it with someone who's ever wondered what's really happening behind the scenes of reality TV. Till next time.